So I get questions like, Brian, how do you take such quality shots while traveling? Or what camera do you use? And I'm like, camera? You mean cameras? What the S? Yeah, let's talk about camera gears, and we're starting right now. What's up, travel heads? Mavic Zoom 2, part of the DJI family, and my most blood-pumping gear that I have because of all the breathtaking moments it takes me to. The Mavic Zoom 2 provides me with shots from above, shots out of the ordinary, and just shots from a different perspective. A perspective that we're not used to seeing because we're used to the land shot. The Mavic Zoom 2 is slightly larger than the Mavic Pro. My drone kit consists of the Mavic Zoom 2, the remote, 3 batteries, and an extra phone. It's a bit of a bulkier gear, but it's shots that are unbelievable, and it helps me fill the void for several B-rolls. GoPro Hero 5. No lie, I used to feel cool carrying around the GoPro. I remember when the GoPro 3 had just got released and I was one of the first to purchase it, and immediately that was my go-to camera wherever I go. Back then, people left and right would compliment like, oh, is that a GoPro? Yo, he has a GoPro. GoPro! You know, they would say all these funny stuff about it. And now it's just like a digital camera where no one really just acknowledges it. Now I mainly use my GoPro for just time-lapse or more action stuff, like when I'm near the water or like the mud or the beaches. Well, not the beaches, but dirty places where you know your gear may get dirty and destroyed. So my GoPro is still my go-to when I hit the water, obviously, and time-lapse because wide angle capturing everything around you. So it's still something I carry around me because it's small, and yeah, all the accessories are really small also, so it's not really much of weight on me to carry. Sony RX5. Don't be fooled, it's not just a digital camera. I remember asking someone to help me take my photo, and I hand them my digital camera and they're like laughing because they're like, I don't remember how to use these cameras. And I'm like, ma'am, this camera is probably worth more than your phone, shoots better quality than your phone. Yeah, as you know, these RX cameras are mainly known for vlogging, and I do use this camera for vlogging primarily. As you notice from all my recent clips, those are all from the RX5. For vlogging cameras, I swapped many times over the years. I swapped from a G7X to a G7X Mark II to the Sony RX5. I would swap my G7X Mark II and my Sony RX5 several times back and forth. But ultimately, I chose the RX5 because the focus is just so much faster, because I need to focus right away even at low light. And the RX5 slow-mo is just so incredibly good. To be honest, I'm probably leaving the vlogging digital camera world really soon, which also leads me to my next one. But before we move on to the next gear, I just want to name a few other gears that I carry in my backpack. A pouch that carries all my battery for all my camera gears, extra SD card, a jobby, and a Zillion crane stabilizer. There are 2 selective backpacks I can choose from that I usually carry, which is either one that I purchased from Amazon or a Low Pro 420, which Ken bought for me for Christmas. And also, all the cameras I just listed, I also placed a link below, so if you're ever interested, check them out. In 2019, the Sony a6500 mirrorless camera is the primary camera I go to for stuff like time-lapse and taking photos and B-rolls. You see a lot of B-rolls shot off from this camera, and I'm also using this camera right now to record me speaking to you guys. You know how I mentioned I might be leaving the vlogging digital camera world? That's because I might be using this camera right here, the a6500, to do my vlogging and to be shooting my B-rolls and time-lapse. So this camera is working that overtime shift. Hope it appreciates me for this. The only issue about this camera is that it does not have a flip screen, so I'm gonna have to get used to knowing and maneuvering when and how it will be on me. Low light is gonna be a bit more difficult, but after a few hiccups, I believe I'll get it right. And also, in 2019, I already brought this camera to 2 different countries like Canada and Taiwan. If I decide to fully use this camera for vlogging purpose, then I'll also connect it with the jobby stick. And mainly when I shoot my B-rolls, I use the Zillion Crane 2 stabilizer so I could get my smooth shot on my little a6500, and you could just see me twirling that little stabilizer around because it fits perfectly with the Sony a6500. The two lenses I use with this camera nowadays are the 16mm and the 50mm. I do plan to upgrade a few more lenses, but as of now, I'm just gonna hold off on that. Oh yeah, and also, did I tell you, this camera shoots at 4K quality. Yes, 4K. If you ever see my 4K shots, that's either on this or my drone. Sadly, when shooting 4K, the camera battery does go by really quick, so I do have 7 batteries that I carry with me, which is a bit of a decent size battery, but the camera is small, so it's smaller than my DSLR, my 7D that I used to have, so that's why I like it. I like how small this camera is and it still shoots such quality shots. Yeah, it's crazy the amount of gears I bring during my travels. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that bell button. Thank you, travel heads, and until then.